Hey everyone, welcome to my garage. In this video, I want to introduce my new BMW R1250 GSA motorcycle right here behind me in triple black. Also, I want to talk about some of the accessories I installed on it, and we'll talk about some of the specifications of this motorcycle. Okay, let's go. The first thing I want to kind of say is that you can see I also still have my 2018 Honda Goldwing, and I'm going to keep that motorcycle as well. So I'll have two motorcycles. The reason why I purchased the BMW R1250 GSA is because I want to get into more adventure riding as opposed to riding long distance on paved roads. I want to start exploring riding on unpaved roads, more adventure type riding. And to that reason, that's the reason I bought this new BMW, the R1250 GSA. Now, there's a lot of YouTube videos on this motorcycle, and I've learned a lot by watching, a lot of other people talk about why they purchased this motorcycle and specifications on it. I'll just go over maybe some high-level specifications on this bike. In general, we're talking about a Boxa engine. So we're looking at an engine that has horizontal opposing cylinders. That's why they call this a Boxa engine. This engine here, it's both liquid and air-cooled. It has 135 horsepower displacement, and I believe it has 105 foot-pounds of torque displacement. And both of those numbers are maxed out, I believe, around 7,000 or 7,500 RPMs. You can look at the specs online to see exactly where. So just kind of wanted to call that out. Another good thing about this motorcycle that I like, same thing with the Goldwing, is it's a shaft-driven motorcycle. So the way that it connects to the rear wheel, the transmission, it's very smooth. Okay, again, the same as my Honda Goldwing you see there in the corner. Now, just kind of walk around in this bike. Again, I spoke before about this Boxa engine, right? So we're talking right there. That's one of the cylinder heads that comes out of the engine. With the GSA, basically a few of the things you get is the engine guard. So pretty much all of those bars, those tip over bars, is what you get with the GSA package. Also, with the GSA package, I believe that the bike sits higher. So from a suspension perspective, I believe the bike is sitting higher from the GSA package as well. Also, you can see here I have these rear you call them saddle holders, right? So we can put side bags on there, and I'll go into a second of what I chose for a side bag. With this motorcycle, I purchased from BMW the top case you can see right there in flat black. So one of the other things I like about this motorcycle, if we zoom in, is it comes with these Brembo brakes. So I believe there's 4 pistons four piston brakes up front, and there's 2 pistons in the back. So these calipers, 4 piston calipers in front and 2 piston calipers in the back. Okay. Another thing to point out is if we take a look in here, you can see here that just like the Honda Goldwing, there's a telelever type suspension. So even though you can see here we have our like suspension bars here, but you can see in the middle that we have a nice suspension coil there as well. Okay, so I just kind of wanted to point that out. So just walking around this bike, this motorcycle came with Bridgestone tires. So these are not, obviously, you can see here, they're not the off-road, the aggressive off-road tires. This motorcycle came with kind of more paved, I would pretty much call these regular standard tires for riding pavement. Although, you could go off-road on hard gravel. I'm not sure how these would do in a trail situation where the roads are pretty difficult to maneuver on. Okay, so let me talk about some of the accessories that I added to this bike and some of the reasons why I did it. So like many of you, basically what I did was did my research. The internet's a great thing. YouTube's fantastic, right? There's so many great videos from others who have already walked this path. And I watched as many videos as I could, and I spoke in person to as many people as I could about, what type of accessories I would need for the type of riding that I'm going to do. So, there are some name brands that I decided to go with. It's my personal opinion based on information that I gathered. Okay, I'll start off with this. One of the manufacturers for aftermarket products that I've chosen to go with is Lone Rider. Okay, so Lone Rider is a manufacturer, and they make a bunch of motorcycle aftermarket accessories for not only the BMWs, but I believe the other motorcycles as well, right? Other adventure touring motorcycles. This particular bike, what I picked up from an aftermarket accessory, we'll start here, is first thing is the, I picked up this, the foot pegs, okay? So that's the first thing to call out. The GSA came with some real nice aggressive foot pegs. However, the type of riding that I'm going to be doing, even though I bought this specifically for riding off roads, in reality, I'm going to be also riding mostly on pavement. And so this foot peg had this insert here, and you can see here, this insert simply pops out. And so now if I wanted to, let's say, ride on pavement to a site that is, more off-road, I can keep the insert in while I'm on pavement, and then I can take that out, and then I have nice aluminum grade, foot pegs that I can stand on when I do off-roading. So I just wanted to call that out as first. That's the first accessory. Okay, the second aftermarket accessory, again from Lone Rider, excuse me, is the kickstand pad right there. So I picked that up, and again, basically from my research and now as an owner, the quality of the manufacturing quality of their products, I think, are excellent, right? So just wanted to point that out. So I'm very happy so far with these products. Okay, so far. Okay. Now moving up front, the third thing to point out, which I purchased, was this Lone Rider headlight guard. Okay, so you can see it right here. Basically what it is it has both a grill, so this is like a metal grill, and behind it, it has like a polymer or a plexiglass. Okay, so for those of you who may not know the purpose of protecting this headlight is that this headlight itself, I'm told, cost around $2,000. Okay, and the thing is that the headlight on this bike, because it's a special headlight, and we'll get more into that in the video about its adaptiveness. It's an adaptive headlight. The thing is that if, God forbid, the headlight would crack, you'd have to replace the whole unit. And that's why it's they say it's around $2,000. So most people that own the, in this case, the BMW R1250, or just in general, right? What they'll do is they'll put headlight protectors on it. And I chose the Lone Star Headlight Protector. Now, One of the good things about this is that you can see this, this piece of plastic here that's in, let's say, amber, right? That can come right off. But one of the good things too is that this can fold down. So you can see here, this headlight is on a hinge, right? And if you look at the side here, right, there's like rubber grommets that is pretty much holding this part of the headlight guard on. And what you can do is you can just pop off the front and, leverage it down, okay? And so that then, if you want, you could expose the entire headlight with this headlight guard, right? So I just wanted to point that out. Again, that's from Lone Rider. Okay, the other aftermarket accessory that I installed on this bike is this touring windshield, right? From Puig is the manufacturer name, Puig, Puig. And again, I did research, and it appears that, this is a very reputable company. I know that they make a lot of different type of windshields and motorcycle accessories, but in particular, this windshield over the stock windshield that came with this motorcycle is higher, right? It's higher, and it also comes out wider. So the stock windshield, if you follow this line here, kind of ended with this line, right? So this is more for a touring type windshield, and this was another aftermarket product that I installed. Okay, so coming here to the cockpit of the motorcycle, one of the obviously I believe all these accessories are important, but to me, one of the more important is the navigation device. Now, when I bought this bike from BMW, it came with the mount, and it came with the BMW GPS mounting system. Okay. However, in my research, again, from the internet and talking to other people, there seems to be a lot of issues with BMW's their OEM navigation unit, which is really a Garmin, and I believe it's like version 6, so it's a BMW Garmin version 6, and there seems to be a lot of problems with that. Now, what I found out was that a lot of people are deciding to switch to the Garmin Zumo XT. And basically, that's what I did here. I went out, I purchased a Garmin Zumo XT, and I installed it on this bike. And with that said, there was the way that I installed it, and following other YouTubers, and that provided great guidance and step-by-steps on how to, I think it came out pretty decent. Now, how did I install it? Okay, first thing is that I went out and I purchased from a manufacturer called MotoPumps. I purchased, and I'll walk around here to show you, right? I purchased this here is a mount, basically it's a mounting bracket for the Garmin Zumo. This particular bracket also has a lock system in here so that this Garmin Zumo, can't be popped out. Now obviously, if someone really wanted to steal things, right? Nothing's foolproof, but this will keep honest people honest, and you cannot remove the Garmin from this because of this locking system. Okay, so MotoPumps is the manufacturer, and I bought this GPS mount from. I purchased the Garmin Zumo, which we have here, and mounted it to the BMW, navigation bracket. Now, how do you map this in electronically, right? So, the other item I purchased is a BMW Repair Plug. It's basically an adapter or a plug. That's a BMW part. And what I had to do, and let me see if I can come up here and what I had to do was underneath, I had to, basically take the cable that came with the Garmin, and I had to, solder it together into the BMW Repair Plug. So from a wire perspective, right, now I have a wire or cable that goes from the Garmin into the into the repair plug, and that repair plug plugs right into the BMW. So there's no splicing any cables on the bike itself. Okay, the only splicing that had to been done and soldering was splicing the cables from the Garmin and the cable coming out of the repair plug, right? Soldering those together. So now I have that one cable, and then plugging that repair plug into the BMW connection, okay? So now, what does that allow us, what does that allow for is basically this. This bike, once that's connected, when I power on this bike, and one of the things to point out is I have the keyless, basically it's a keyless key fob, right? When I power the bike on, okay, let's see. You can see there we're powering the bike on. The Garmin Zumo will automatically power on, right? And you can see it happening right there. Also, when I power the bike off, the Garmin Zumo I set to power off, 1 minute after the power source goes off. So the Garmin Zumo will power off automatically when I power the bike off, okay? So you can see this. This is kind of the cockpit view. I have my navigation, and I have my BMW, TFT screen, all right? So I wanted to point that out. Now, talking again about the lights, one of the things I liked about this as well is just the bike also came with, this bike came with the two, you can see the two lights on the side, right? So I have these, these two floodlights on the side, came with that as well. And then you can see how, how we look with the Lone Rider light guard, right? And basically you can see how the bike sits and how it looks from up front. So one thing I'm gonna do is I purchased some Denali, I think they're DS4s. Basically, I'm gonna add two more lights. I'm gonna be adding them in the future. I already purchased the lights and the mount, so I'm gonna be installing that next. But this is what the bike looks like, from the front end with the lights on. Okay, so let's talk quickly about some of the some of the electronics on the bike. Okay, first of all, we have on the left side, the left handlebar, this Wonder Wheel. Now, if we had the BMW GPS connected, we can control the GPS with the Wonder Wheel. Because I installed the Zumo, all of my basically I have to do everything manually. The Wonder Wheel does not work with the Zumo, but that's okay because there's, if anyone knows the Garmin Zumo XT, I mean, everything here is pretty much, it's a touch screen and it works with gloves on, okay? So, we can have a whole nother video on, the Garmin Zumo. I think it's a fantastic product, but let's get back to the bike. So TFT, all right, there's a menu button here, all right? Notice down here, there's a little shape, an arrow pointing down. And if you look at the menu button, you'll see an up arrow and a down arrow. Now, if I hit the down arrow, watch the TFT screen change. Okay, now it goes into what they call my vehicle. Basically this is a menu, right? And if I wanted to, I can press this Wonder Wheel, inward, and look at that arrow, right? So I press this inward and I could potentially, connect and control a lot of things with this, one of the wheel and the menu button. Okay, so what I like is if I click the arrow on that my vehicle, it's going to give me all information on this vehicle. One of the things that I found out is that this gas tank on this GSA is a 7.9 gallon gas tank. Now, compared to my Goldwing, which is, I believe, a 5.2 gallon gas tank, you're talking about a lot more gas. Now, with that, I filled this bike up, I filled this tank up, and the display said like 350 miles per tank. 350 miles for a motorcycle. My Goldwing, I can probably get around 230 on a full tank, okay? So we're talking about a long distance, okay? Right now, you can see here, it's a new bike. I only have 615 miles on it. I have 222 miles from a gas tank perspective. I have a range of 222 miles. It shows the voltage. It shows the tire pressure, the PSI, oil temp. It shows, basically anything you need to know about the motorcycle. It's on here, and I love that. I love knowing while I'm riding that everything is electronically working, mechanically working fine. And if there's an issue, I want to know about that. Okay, so wanted to call that out. Now, another thing to call out is you can set your trips on here. So I believe there's 2 trip settings. So you can see here it says onboard computer. All right. Now it's going to hold the range 222 miles, right? So average speed. So this was, I think, my last, the last ride I took, my last trip. 36.7 miles per gallon, which isn't that great, but there was a lot of local roads, so this bike can certainly get better gas mileage than that. But again, it gives a lot of good information. Now, the second trip, if I move this jog dial over one more, you can see it change. What I like about this bike is that there's a setting that you can configure so the second trip will automatically reset every 24 hours. And I think that's fantastic when we're taking long rides. And, so trip A or the first trip could be something like, hey, I want to track, all information on my entire trip if it's a multi-day trip. And then the trip 2 on the computer could be, hey, just track what's going on that particular day. So if it's a multi-day, trip that you take on a motorcycle, you can keep track of the entire trip, information on the entire trip, and also from a daily perspective, okay, from the trip 2. So just wanted to point that out as well. I think that's pretty neat. Okay, so some of the other things I want to point out is this bike, just again like my Goldwing, the BMW, this GSA has different type of ride modes. Okay, and here's this button here, this mode button will change ride modes. Now, you can see on top here, we're in a ride mode called road. So what is ride modes? My understanding from, again, reading all the manuals and listening to some excellent YouTubers talk about it, is the ride modes is going to affect the ABS braking, which is a link brake system, and also the DC, not the DCT, sorry about that, the dynamic traction control. Okay, so there's different ride modes. And when I hit this button and take a look at how the modes change, okay, so I can change the mode. Road mode, my understanding, is kind of like touring mode on the 2018 Honda Goldwing. Okay, road mode, you basically have, ABS brakes, the torque, the engine delivery, the suspension, everything is tuned more for my opinion right now is a paved road. If you're going on long distances, right, it's a nice, comfortable ride. Now, there's also enduro mode. So my understanding now is enduro mode, it changes up how the braking system works. Enduro mode, my understanding is you're not going to get the ABS and ABS braking in the back of the bike, okay? That dynamic traction control. You know, you're not going to get a lot of the electronics that would typically help the rider control the motorcycle in certain conditions. Enduro mode, my understanding, is meant for off-roading, okay? So that's another mode. If I hit the mode button one more time, okay, you can see we can change it to eco mode. Eco mode is going to be optimal for better gas mileage. It's going to control better the engine and the torque delivery. Again, it's all about economy, right, of the motorcycle. All right, and there's also a rain mode. Okay, now rain mode is basically, again, just like rain mode in the Goldwing. It's going to control how much torque it goes to the rear wheel from a slip perspective. You know, it's going to adjust the the delivery on how much power the engine is displacing to the transmission and how that gets delivered to the rear wheel. Okay, so and there's some great videos. This one gentleman, he has a great video. He's actually has a spreadsheet. He spoke with BMW and went through all the specs on all these. Now, these are the modes that I programmed that are readily available from this button. However, there's other modes in this bike that I could also choose. There's a mode called dynamic mode, which basically takes this bike and makes it more sporty, right? And so, not to drag this out, but there's so many different riding modes on this bike. And again, the riding modes are going to, they're going to affect how the engine delivers power with the transmission, to the rear wheels, how ABS is going to function. Okay, that's all about these mode styles. All right. Now, in addition to that, we're going to talk about the suspension modes on this bike as well. Now, this motorcycle has, I believe they call it dynamic ESA suspension. So basically, we have this, a pretty advanced suspension system in this bike. All right. We already spoke about, you saw in the front, but you can see here, we have, a suspension system here as well under the seat from the back. And we have this electronic suspension. So I believe they call this a dampener back here, right, with the spring. Okay, so it's like a type of a strut in there, in a sense, right? That and this is all adjusted electronically. Okay, they call this dynamic DSA, right? And that's the suspension on this bike. So again, you can see in addition to the riding modes, we're going to talk now about the suspension on this bike. Okay, so the suspension from a rider's perspective. There's a button here on the left handlebar. You can see right here, and it has a icon of a suspension. All right. Now, what this does is we could hit this. Now, when we hit this button, we can change the suspension on the bike. Okay, I clicked on it once. You can see the menu. It comes up. Now, from a suspension perspective, there's also road, right? There's dynamic. Okay, and we can program other types of, there's other type of suspensions we can program as well. Okay, I'm going to keep it back on road. Dynamic is pretty neat. Now, dynamic is, if I go back to dynamic, let's see if we can get back there, right? Dynamic, my understanding, automatically adjusts the suspension based on the rider's or based on the weight on the bike. So that's pretty neat. So with dynamic suspension, when you get on this bike, and it will basically understand the weight distribution, this is my understanding, and adjust the suspension accordingly to the optimal dampening position of that kind of rear strut and shock that I showed you in the back. Okay, so dynamic is going to allow this bike to automatically sense weight distribution and adjust the suspension automatically. I think that's pretty neat. All right, so I just again wanted to point that out. So dynamic suspension, and then in addition to that, you can adjust the position of the dampening to either be at the minimum position or the or the maximum position within the dampening itself. Okay, there's just a lot of settings on this bike. You can really configure it and customize it to benefit you as a rider. Okay, so just wanted to kind of point that out. Okay, so one of the other aftermarket items I went out and purchased was these Lone Rider Moto Bags. You can see them on the bike here. I just put them on, and basically what these are they're a hybrid type bag. I mean, basically it's a soft bag as opposed to a hard bag, meaning that like this top case here is aluminum, right? It's a metal case, and the Lone Rider bags, it's a softer bag, right? So it's more of a it's more of a fabric that is you basically water resistant, and these bags come with a waterproof insert as well. Why did I go with soft bags first of all, as opposed to going with the BMW hard cases, which are aluminum? Well, again, in talking with other adventure riders with a lot of experience and watching YouTube, one of the things to point out is that everyone always says that if you're going to do off-road riding, you're going to be dropping this bike. Everyone, says it. I'm just very new to off-road riding, right? So everyone's saying that, be prepared to drop the bike. All right. Now, my understanding too, from, listening to people much smarter than me and on the internet, is that a lot of times people with the hard case aluminum bags, when they fall down, there's a chance that the aluminum bag will, their leg will get caught under the aluminum bag and they'll get hurt, right? You can crush your leg, you can break a bone. I mean, who knows the degree of injuries, but that's why a lot of off-road adventure riders, it seems like, are going towards these softer bags. Now, I picked up the Lone Rider bags. There's a lot of, my research, there was a lot of other manufacturer bags that, were good as well. For me, I like the Lone Rider bags. You can see here, they're like a hybrid bag. So even though they're a soft bag, and for this, let me kind of open these up. And so, they have a lot of, they have a locking system first. So these bags come with a locking system where I could, basically what they do is they give you like a padlock. So I can lock these bags if I wanted to, right from here. And it would prevent the bags from, opening up, okay? Now these bags are quick release bags. So what does that mean? Well, you can see here that this handle here, I can lift up, and I'll show you in a minute, and basically this bag pulls right off the bike, okay? So I'll show you that in a minute. But to open these bags, you can see how these bags open up, okay? And, there's two bags, right? The left side bag is a 38-liter bag, and the right side bag over the muffler is a 31-liter bag, okay? And basically this is what we're looking at. So, if I can get the camera to look in there, right? There is a like a kind of like a plastic insert that keeps the shape of the bag. So that's one thing I like as well. It keeps the shape of the bag, but you know, it's a soft bag itself, right? And again, you know, this is kind of what it looks like. And then if I wanted to, you know, we just roll these bags up like so, you know, and basically, you know, we hook everything back up, and these are the Lone Rider bags. Now, to take these bags off from a quick release perspective, you know, all I need to do is come back here and see if I can, all right. And by the way, this locks, there's a key, right? You see that? But Lone Rider gives you a key that you can lock and unlock the bag. So I can lock these soft bags to this bike, okay? You know, with this system. Now, this bag isn't locked. And if I wanted to take it off, basically all I need to do is pull this lever up. Okay, so I'll pull this lever up. You see how that comes up? Tilts the bag, and then I just lift the bag off the bike. And that's it. And it's so easy. And this is kind of what the back, this is what the back of the bag looks like, right? It comes with this type of, you know, metal frame. You know, this is the quick release. It comes in there. You can see how it locks. The key goes in here, and that's how that works, all right? So I picked up the Lone Rider bags. So far, they're working pretty good. Now, one thing I will say is these bags are not inexpensive, okay? These are, you know, expensive bags, but you know, I believe they're worth it. I mean, you know, I do a lot of long distance riding, and who knows with this bike where I'm going to take it off road. You know, I'm always carrying, you know, so much stuff, extra, you know, different battery charges, tire inflators, you name it. So I think these bags are going to work pretty good on this bike for me. Now, one of the other aftermarket, you know, accessories that I added, which again, I believe is functional, is I added the radiator guards to the bike. So let me see if I can shine a flashlight in there so you can see, but you can see here, you know, I added these radiator guards on both sides, right? And these are Evotech, that's the manufacturer of these. And again, the reason why I added it, the more functional is that, God forbid, rocks and other things kick up, it's not going to damage the radiator. So hopefully this little radiator grill or radiator guard, that's what they call it, is gonna help protect the radiator from damage from, you know, some debris that might fly up, okay? So I just wanted to point that out. That's another aftermarket item I added. Okay, everyone. Well, that's the end of this video. And again, you know, thanks for sticking with me and allowing me to walk through, you know, basically new motorcycles. So I'm looking forward to some good adventures and riding with some like-minded folk. You know, I'm here. I have a great riding community, great bunch of people that like riding as well. And looking to take this bike out and hitting some off-road trails and just testing it out. And, you know, look for some videos on it. I'll be posting up some videos on the new BMW R1250 GSA as well. So that said, you know, wish everyone well, and we'll catch up on the next video. Thanks for watching.